Hey everyone, I have a very exciting interview for you. I have one of my favorite people in the Fresno market on the show today, Michael Butler. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Oh man, you really are one of my favorite people in Fresno. You have positive thinking, high energy, great integrity. And what I've seen from you is you're always willing to help others without expectation. And that is so rare. You have no idea. So I just wanted to get this on record. You are one of my favorite people in Fresno. So thank you.
I appreciate that. I really do.
All
Means a
right.
lot.
Awesome. So we've done interviews. I think this is number 4, maybe even number
Yeah.
5. Let's remind people, who is Michael, right? How'd you get started in this business? Yeah. Why don't we start there?
So I was pretty much I was a school teacher. I taught special education. Started teaching in 2016 on the preliminary teaching credential, basically until I finished my teaching credential. Struggled to pass my CSET, which is a state required test in order to finish your credential program, which is crazy in itself because the test is really what stopped me in school. Because with the experience that I had as a teacher, I would have pretty much flew through those classes, but you can only take 3 classes until you pass your test.
Ah,
It looked pretty bad if I finished my whole teaching credential and didn't pass the test. So
that would be bad.
I definitely see why they have that on there. Anyways, I pretty much got pulled out of my classroom after teaching for 2 years. Started substitute teaching at the beginning, at the end actually of 2018, around October 2018. Discovered wholesaling. Got into real estate January 1st is when I hit the ground running. Got my first deal in March. And then from that point, I've pretty much just been substitute teaching and building out a wholesaling business.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit more because people may not be able to put this together. So again, you start wholesaling January 1st, 2019. At
Yeah.
the time, you're a substitute teacher.
Yes.
You prove, I call it proof of concept. You
Yeah.
prove that wholesaling works for Michael by March. You get your first check.
Yes.
Okay. But what people may not realize, and frankly, we would not have seen this coming, is this COVID thing comes, this health crisis. And oh, by the way, substitute teaching, not really happening today, right? Because classes are closed.
Yeah, 100%. Unless you're a full-time teacher, you're on salary. So whether you work 1 day or 30 days a month, your check at the end of the month pretty much is the same. But as a substitute teacher, you only get paid for the days that you work. And as for March, I haven't worked none.
Wow. So I just want people to hear this. So again, you rolled the dice again, January 1st, 2019, as a side hustle, right? Because I would say being a teacher was still your main focus in
Oh, yeah,
2019,
for
right?
sure. Well, no, because I
Okay.
kind of I lost my full-time job, so I knew that I was going to have to find something
Oh, okay.
and really just put, my back was against the wall. I had to make money. I mean, in January and December, I only worked a total of like 3 weeks because Thanksgiving we get like 2 weeks off, and then for Christmas we get 3 weeks off. So I knew come February that my check was going to be pretty slim, which
Uh-huh.
wasn't going to even be enough to cover my expenses that I had at the time.
Okay.
So I got my degree in criminology, and I knew anything in law enforcement was going to take 6 to 12 months to even get in anywhere or even get a check. So I had to find something, and I stumbled on this and just hit the ground running.
All right. I like the back against the wall. You're hungry. You jump in January 1st, 3 months later, you get your first deal. Let's wrap up that first year. So at the end of 2019, would you say you're in the business full time at that point?
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, substitute teaching really was something. It was kind of at that point it had became a hobby because your thought on money and time was just completely different. I did it because I love being around people.
Yeah.
I loved being around kids, but I had definitely realized by that time that definitely the exchange for time and what I was making, um, it didn't make sense for me.
Yeah. So this is really the point of this conversation is I'm going to call your year one proof of concept. You proved it work. You prove again, it's always important, right? Because people just don't know. You don't know if the business is real, right? If you
Mhm.
will. And then there's always a second thing behind you is it real for me, right? Do
Yeah.
I have it? Right.
Yes.
Because we can always look at the big timers on social media and go, "Yeah, okay, it's real, but can I do it?"
I do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what you proved in 2009 that Michael Butler could do it, right?
100%.
All right. All right. So now what I want to talk about on this interview, because we covered most of that in your previous interviews, is Now that 2020, 10 months over, been a very odd year, but you have doubled down. You've done process procedures. You've had some game-changing events, and 2020 is going to be a record year for you on all kinds
Sure.
of fronts.
Yep.
So let's talk about it. What'd you do coming into the year? What was different? Was your mindset? Roll through the year, right? Because January and February were probably normal months. Then
Mhm.
March comes around, just smacks you upside the face.
Yeah. So the funny thing at the start of this year, I kind of ended up in the same spot that I ended 2018 in a sense of we did buy a house. I took over sub two,
Okay.
and we had renovated it with some of the money that I made last year. Paid off some debt and things like that. So we kind of started off fresh in January, and it was one of those things where I say mindset was completely different because. I always tell people now I have no fear of going broke just because I know how to make money. So before, if you went broke, it was more of a panic. And now, I mean, I have it, I have a skill of being able to find deals. So now being broke doesn't really phase me because it's really just a matter of how long,
Yeah.
am I going to be that way. I know if I needed to go make some money, I can definitely make something happen.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit because I've never heard that, but that is powerful. That is freedom. That is true freedom right there. The no fear of going broke. Let's rewind the clock. You're coming out of college, right? You're getting your teacher's thing. I'm guessing the fear's there, right? I mean, I know it would have been for me.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the fear of, how one of the benefits I would say is that when I had my son in 2014, me and my wife, um, it was one of those things where it was more affordable for her, or it made more sense for her to stay home
Uh-huh.
and help raise our son than her actually to go to work, and pretty much her job paid for childcare.
Right.
So we made that decision early because at that time we didn't have a lot of expenses, and our whole thought process was, hey, instead of going off two salaries, we've been living off of one salary for this long. Why get used to making more money and then one of us have to stop working?
Mm.
So for that point, the pressure has always been, and I don't want to say pressure. I just feel like, as a father and as a husband, that's kind of, you know,
Yeah.
whether she puts that on me or not, I feel like that's my responsibility. And so losing a teaching job was definitely, like I say, one of my low moments,
Yeah.
just because I didn't know where the money was going to come from. And I did have a wife and two children that I needed to
Yeah.
provide for.
This is important because again, this health event has proved to a lot of folks the importance of a side hustle,
Yeah.
belief that you can go out and do something. Because what I call the middle class mindset, right? Work 40 hours for 40 years to live on 40%. That's what
Trading
we're programmed. Sorry.
trading your time for money.
Yeah. Time for money. Right. And again, that's what I thought coming out of college. That's frankly what I wanted. If I could
Yeah.
work somewhere 40 hours for 40 years, I'd have signed the contract. Be like,
You're
done, let's go.
successful.
Yeah. Right. I'm successful. But then, stuff happens. I'm nearly 50 now. I think I've been through 3 or 4 recessions, a couple of them nasty, like the one we are in now.
Yeah.
And, you need to be able to have the flexibility to have confidence in yourself, which is what you built up in yourself in 2019, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So now you roll into 2020, you spent a little money, you got I don't know if your back's against the wall per se, but again, you're hungry.
Mhm.
To make 2020 a record year, which frankly, I think everybody should always target the next year to be a record, right?
Yes.
It's just more fun that way.
Hmm.
Right. So I hope 2021 is bigger than 2020 for you. So how do you get rolling on that? I mean, do you just double down on marketing? Do you go out and look for partners? I mean, in order to have record years, sometimes you need to do stuff different. It's just not more.
100%. And so when we talk about doing things different, I knew one of my downfalls and kind of why I ended 2019 in the lower end is because I do coach high school football. And when we started our season, it was more of my pipeline that I was closing towards the end of the year, but I wasn't doing a lot of marketing towards the end of the year. And so I felt the effects of that towards the beginning of 2020.
Mm,
And one of my goals actually was to make sure that I put systems and processes in place to make sure no matter what happened, I never stopped marketing. So at that point, I brought on a cold caller. So I knew I would always have somebody marketing that way. And I think at this point now, I have 2 other people who are calling for me strictly commission. They're both sales guys. And I think I heard it somewhere where they say you don't pay sales guys because they eat what they catch. It keeps them hungry. It keeps them going. So now I got 3 cold callers. I handle all of our SMS messaging, so our text messaging. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, that was really one of the biggest things is I wanted to make sure that I continue to market, analyze my numbers. I don't want to say I'm not a huge KPI guy, because I do believe in keeping your tracking your KPIs. I just haven't found the system that works best for me yet. But looking into my text messaging marketing, I was able to look at kind of what I was paying every month. And I realized that every time that I spent more than $600, I would typically get a deal.
Ah,
So now at this point, I know that I at least need to spend $600 every month, until I can build kind of more of a proof of concept in that area, that if I was to double that to 1,200, it'll bring, 2
two.
deals. So
Yeah. Makes total sense. So again, what I'm hearing you say is you looked at the year as a challenge, you realized you couldn't do it yourself. A
yeah,
lot of things that I see in business, whether it's wholesaling, flipping, anything, people have proof of concept, which is what I call year 2018, which was basically you.
yeah,
Then you get in 2019, you have more success. Now 2020 comes up. You realize you're smart enough, intuitive enough, whatever you want to call it. You start, I don't know if I want to call it outsourcing or
start
basically
delegating
hiring,
tasks.
delegating. There's the word. You start delegating tasks to other killers, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
salespeople that, hey, eat what you kill,
yeah.
and you don't kill, you don't eat. Uh, and then you stay close to the deals, right? The stuff that comes
Yeah,
in
so
top
so
of
they
funnel.
they still help with the marketing. At that point, if it's a lead, they'll push it into the Podio and into my CRM basically. And then from that point, I act as lead manager,
Mhm.
and I'll negotiate. I'll pull out more motivation, and then I'll lock up the deals. And then
Mhm.
from that point, we just keep it pushing.
There you go. All right. So, what other things have been critical to really going next level, right? 2020 is a next level year for you, Michael. So, you outsource, or I'm sorry, delegate to others. What else has been game changing for you this year?
I think up to that point, I had finally found out, how to be able to close a deal a month, and I knew one of my goals coming into the year is that I wanted to have a 6-figure month, um, and I also wanted to get to the point where I was able to start closing a little bit more deals. I wasn't necessarily able to find it early on, probably until this past month or last month. I started JVing some deals, and I realized once I started JVing some deals, reaching out to people who had stronger buyers list, and that was something I kind of got, with some of my peers. They're like, "Man, you didn't even send it out to your buyers list yet," and I'm like, well, this person's been dispoing some of these deals at prices that, quite frankly, I don't think my buyers aren't buying it at that price. And
Right.
that's knowing your buyers.
Yeah.
And it's not a rip to my buyers list.
Mm-mm.
I got buyers on my list who've been in the business for a long time, similar to you, right? If the numbers work, they work. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah, exactly. It's black or
Some
white with
people,
us.
it's black or white because you're in it for the long haul, right? Whereas some people have buyers on their list who maybe, it's a mom and pop type buyer. They're looking to buy one house to park some money
Yeah.
a year. So at that point, numbers, they don't really,
Yeah. They're willing to do a skinny deal, right? Let's just call it
they're
what it
willing to
is.
do a skinny deal. Yeah. So this person has buyers who,
Yeah.
would buy skinny deals. And so what I realized is by simply locking up some of these deals, I would be able to push them to him, and he would dispo it, and I would make more money on those deals than if I would have just dispoed it myself.
People
But
need to hear this, Michael.
yeah,
I just want to repeat what I heard you say. Basically, what you're saying is, I found JVing. Well, you always knew it was there, but you actually
yeah,
participated in JVing, which most people hear JVing and go, shoot, my assignment fee just got cut in half. That's what they
yeah,
hear or they think.
yeah,
What I heard you just say is, I'm JVing with people who are very good at dispoing. You're very good at acquisition. So
mhm,
you're partnering on the full chain. And oh, by the way, these folks are so good at dispoing. Your end of the deal is bigger than it
mhm.
would have been if you did it all yourself.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to
That is
come with
awesome.
a lot of it has to come with you being able to be realistic with yourself.
Yeah.
And I understand that with me being a one-man show, essentially building out this business, I understand a lot of my energy goes to finding deals, and, sourcing these deals.
Mhm.
Whereas there's people who's done this business for a long time who has actually taken the time to focus on building a buyer's list.
Yeah.
So you can't be prideful in the sense of, no, I can dispo it myself. Like, no, like this person has put, these people have put time into specifically building out their buyers list. So why wouldn't I take advantage of that? Especially because I'm building a relationship with somebody. Because ultimately I plan on moving into buy and hold and stuff like that, right? So
Yeah.
you have to have your kind of your end result in mind. Eventually, I'm going to need to start reaching out to people for private money, things like that. So I understand that you need to bring value to people. And right now, my way of being able to bring value to people is by bringing deals to them. Selfishly, I just happen to benefit, either way.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm able to build a relationship also in the run. So being able to JV deals, I've realized that a lot of my energy isn't going to locking up the deal and also having to dispo it. Once I lock it up and I pass it on, I'm able to continue to, lock up more deals. And that's going to pretty much turn into, definitely my biggest month this month. I mean, we're at 4 deals closed right now, projecting to be about 6 at the end of this month, which, like I said, will be my biggest month.
People need to hear this. I'm going to say it again. I'm not trying to repeat for you, but I'm going to say it loud for the people in the back of the room. You found JVing. You've partnered with people that are just as good as you on a part that they're better than you at. Let's just call it what it is, right? And oh, by the way, the people that you're working with the dispo are not as good as you on acquisition. So let's just call it what it is, right? And again, you are making more money and you are saving time.
Yep.
Either saving time or more efficiently using time. Because one of the things that new wholesalers or investors in general don't appreciate, Michael, is opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Your opportunity cost of time wasted dispoing deals that you were less good at means you couldn't spend more time doing what you were the best at, which is acquisition.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, you go in, you tested, it works. You're going to have a record month.
Yep.
And there's a shot to have a 6-figure month. That is amazing.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about that, right? A 6-figure month. Just in case people don't know what I mean by that, that means netting $100,000 or grossing $100,000, correct?
Well, since it would be JVing, it'd be grossing $100,000.
Right. Grossing.
So I'd net, $50,000 out of that.
Yeah. So again, this gross assignment fees of $100K JVing. So you take half.
Yeah.
But still, you would put deals together, the assignment fees, the margin, whatever we want to call it, 6 figures. And, even if we just talk about the 50K, I'm guessing that 50K in a month is a little bit more than teachers make.
Yeah.
Look, that little chuckle. Yeah, a little bit.
I was sitting around, I think after, with the teaching at the time and teaching adult school, and coaching 3 sports, a good month for me, I'd probably net about 3,500. I'm sorry.
So let me just put that in context. So you were teaching during the day, you were coaching athletics, and you were doing night school.
Yes.
And I'm guessing you had to grade homework and put lesson plans together. And how many hours are in your day? I mean, how the hell is that possible? That's a lot of time.
You just weren't not efficient. You just wasn't able to be the best version of yourself. I mean,
but no, when you were doing that, you had to be going like 7 to 9, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Yeah. So I would teach during the day, and then when school was out, we'd have practice from about 3:30 to 4:30.
Okay.
And this is at the junior high level. If we're in football season, I'm at the high school, so we're practicing from 3 to 6.
Jesus.
And then 3 days a week, I would teach adult school from 6. So I would leave practice early, from 6 to 8:50.
Wow.
And mind you, I was doing that when I first started. So even though I wasn't a full-time teacher, substitute teaching is the same time throughout the day. So when I got into substitute teaching, I was there every day. So I would simply have the same schedule.
Wow. So you would do that for a month and take home 3,500.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I'm just trying to do the math in my head. That's like an 80-hour week.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, as busy as you are and as good as you are, you're probably not spending 80 hours a week wholesaling, I'm guessing.
No, and sometimes I feel guilty about it. Sometimes I wonder if I'm working enough, but when you start to build out a business and you start delegating tasks, a lot of the time that I spent, sometimes it's just networking with people or hopping on the phone and talking about other ways to bring in different streams of income.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm spending so much time with my family. I'm just like, man, like,
You're
I work today.
honey, I got to go work. Why? Just because I have to go work.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that is so awesome. So again, congratulations. One of my favorite people. 2020 is going to be a record year. How do we make 2021 or even better year? Any idea?
No, for sure I do.
Oh, I
Right
like
now,
it.
like we said, wholesaling is pretty much, I mean, it's a job in itself. Even though I love doing it, it's something that I got to make sure that I'm putting effort into every day, to make sure that the checks do keep coming in.
Yeah.
So I know with my wife finishing school in December, our biggest thing is our end goal was to be able to build passive streams of income. So I could still continue to do wholesaling, but I don't have to rely on it. More freedom at that
Yeah.
point. So I know when she finishes in December, we will be looking more into buying and holding.
Very cool. And again, are you going to be like lots of people and look out of state? Are you going to look in Fresno? Any idea yet? Or you're not sure?
I know I want to be local, but um, I have looked, I follow a couple people on social media and stuff like that, and have looked into different programs. And I do see a opportunity in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Just mainly because if you guys are, familiar with Chicago, it's built more vertical.
Yep.
So there is a lot more multifamily when it comes to, triplexes, fourplexes, up to that point.
Yep.
And so I think there would be a better return in a sense, because just based off things that I've learned when it comes to investing, you're either looking for a place that has good appreciation,
Uh-huh.
you're looking for either cash flow, or you're looking for both. California, obviously, you can get both. But my biggest thing would be cash flow. I think that would be more important to me
Yeah.
at this point in time, just to not get out of the rat race, but
Yeah.
just to have a little bit more stability. And I think once I'm able to build up a stream of income, whether that be in another market or not, since the point of entry is a whole lot more affordable,
Yeah.
then I'll be able to kind of play Monopoly and
Yeah.
shuffle some things around and, put it in maybe bet more appreciating assets or whatever. But I know my biggest thing is I want to build my passive stream. And then from that point, then I can start maneuvering pieces.
Yeah. So one of the things you and I'll do together, when you get to next year and you're ready for it, maybe it's when the wife graduates, we'll put her through the course I have, how to learn one rental at a time. And,
Yep.
that would be something, because you've got to make sure you know your market.
Uh-huh.
And, I'll help you get through that, help her get through that.
And that's kind of part of the reason why we're taking, we're kind of waiting for her to finish, because I don't want to start looking into a market and
Yeah.
start doing this homework and then she finishes.
Yeah.
And then I'm not trying to, I'm wasting time at that point trying to get her up to
Opportunity
speed.
cost. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm better off just waiting, doing what I'm doing at this point, and then we hop in it together and we learn it together and be able to make those decisions together.
There you go. And again, I loved what you said earlier. I want to repeat it for the folks that didn't hear it. Wholesaling is great. Wholesaling, we've already talked about a six-figure month, 6-figure years, multi-6-figure years, but it's still a job.
Yeah,
It is a job, right? Stop marketing, checks stop showing up.
100%.
Yeah. So what kind of advice do you have for folks? Either let's split this question in two. Let's assume you're still on YouTube University. You haven't done anything. You watch Max Maxwell or whoever the big wholesalers are. And you're at the point of, you haven't had that proof of concept yet. What would you tell that person, maybe, when you're still teaching, about getting started, what they should learn? What would you tell someone who's yet to have that proof of concept moment like you had in March?
I think the biggest thing is just failing forward, taking action steps. I have people to reach out to me and do you mentor?
Yeah.
No, I don't even think I'm in a position to even try to mentor anybody. But the biggest thing is I'm an open book. I answer as many questions from people that I can. I have a lot of people that come to me asking me about wholesaling. I tell them where to look. I send them straight to YouTube.
Yeah.
Right. And so I actually did that with somebody, I think at the beginning of the year. And he recently reached back out to me and was like, hey, I'm negotiating this deal with this seller. This is the address. I need help.
Yeah.
To me, it was a breath of fresh air, because it was someone that I told what to do, or I told them where to go. They were still going to have to watch the videos. They were still going to have to learn the concepts and the process of wholesaling. And they came back to me with a deal, and not even a deal for me to help,
Yeah.
If I got to help them close the deal, I don't want no piece of it. Like, I'm more excited that you actually took the time to learn it. And then you came back to me and you progress. You took some action steps, because it's
Yeah.
easier to change those things. We used to have a football coach that always told us, just making full speed decisions. You can mess up, and I won't yell at you for messing up if you go full speed.
Yeah.
You mess up and you're kind of,
Lollygagging.
lollygagging through it. Like, I'm gonna be upset because you didn't make a full speed decision. You know what I mean? Just go
Yeah.
100,
Get committed.
miles per hour, and we'll fix with the direction that
Yeah.
you're going, but the speed is great.
Yeah. You chose the wrong hole. It's okay. We can fix that. At least you were committed.
100%.
Yeah. So that's really cool. And I got to tell you, that feeling you get when, I call it a student, you can call it a mentoree, calls you and tells you they did it.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best videos I did in the last couple of weeks is I did just a quick snapshot of students out of my course. Like 4 people did a deal in a week. I mean, that's such an awesome feeling.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
it is.
it's great. You took
Because
action.
you're really just guiding them in that direction. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, they gotta have the juice in them.
Dude, I'm not doing the work for you. Hell no.
I got enough to do on my own,
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So now like I said, we're going to split that question in 2. Now let's assume you've had that proof of concept moment. You've got your first 5, 10, 12, whatever it is, check. What would you tell that person, right? They haven't scaled yet, but they've proven that they can do it, whether it's dispo, whether it's acquisition, whether it's both, they've proved it works. What would you tell that person? Let's pretend it's March. You got that first check in your hand. You're like, holy shit, I can do it.
I would say, honestly, just keep going. I think ultimately you want to get to a point to where there was a point in time where I was calling a title company like, hey, where are we at with this deal? And not necessarily even just follow up. It was more like, hey, I'm running out of money.
Yeah.
What's going on? Just keep going, because you want to be able to get to a point to where when a deal does close, it's like, oh, cool, I got a deposit today.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look at that. It showed up. Yeah.
Yeah, it showed up today. Or even to the point where sometimes, just with me and some of my peers, we'll talk about a deal where we made $5,000 on, and we're kind of a little upset about it. It's and in no way is that meant to necessarily be, shade at anything, but it's more, to me, it's a staple of growth.
Yeah.
Because when you get to a point where you can make $5,000 and you're kind of like, what could I have done better in that deal?
Right.
I think you're moving in the right direction, because then at that point in time, your whole thought of money is changing.
Yeah. What I would tell someone when they get the first deal is they got to take a minute. They got to celebrate it, right? Because that's going from 0 to 1 is a big deal for anyone.
Yeah.
The second thing I would tell someone to do is kind of audit how you got it. Right? What marketing worked? What networking worked? Frankly, was it luck? Was your first?
What makes it hard, honestly. And I think that's what was hard for me early on. Was really, they always say you get your first deal, then reverse engineer it. Well, it's easier said than done, because I really don't even know how I engineered it.
I have no idea how it happened.
I have no idea how it happened, right? And so you can't go back and look at numbers, because when you first start, you're dumping money in any and everything that you think that's going to help you. So was it that I spent the money here or spent it there? Like, you just don't know. Yeah. So really, just keep going until you're able to continue to close more. And then from that point, you'll be able to go back. Okay, this deal was from text messaging. This one was from cold calling. This was a referral, so then you get more of an idea of where your lead flow is coming from.
Yeah, that is awesome. I'm curious. So let's say you started, or you did start January 1st, 19. By what month had you replaced your entire teaching salary, right? Total accumulation.
So in March.
So March, you'd have done a deal.
Then did 10. And then for sure over the summer, I know for sure that I passed what I would have made over the summer.
So call it August. So say by eight months.
Probably mid June.
Oh wow! So 6 months in.
Yeah.
So in 6 months,
summer that it picked up, and I was like, wow, that was fast.
Nice.
And that was the first time that I didn't teach summer school, so that was my first glimpse of actually being a full-time wholesaler.
There you go.
And so at that point, it was really like, whoa, I was able to do this in these 2 months. What could I do if I wasn't, teaching?
Yeah. And then the other thing I want to hit on, just because I love speaking with you, is you've always had the support of your wife. Right? She's always been supportive, even when you were just grinding it, from January to March, where you had nothing, right? Where you're just spending.
February was a tough month.
Yeah. honey, I can do it, honey, trust me, I can
Yeah.
do it. But that, that bond is stronger than ever. And, you guys are going to do bigger things next year after she graduates, I'm sure, because you're going
Yeah.
to be able to divide and conquer, right? Have, the opportunity cost of two people working hand in hand. So talk about that special relationship you have with her. Give her a shout out.
Okay.
She deserves one. Yeah.
Um, yeah, for sure she deserves one. I mean, we got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. So that in itself is a handful. We're actually expecting our third and final child in January.
You get a tax write if it comes December 31st, right?
Yeah,
Tax
hey,
deduction.
my daughter was born December 2nd last year
Ah,
in 2016, right?
there you go.
So no, for sure, I definitely want to shout my wife out because at the end of the day, I feel like you're only able to really take when you're a solo entrepreneur, it's easy to take those risks because you're the only one that's suffering.
Yeah, you can eat ramen noodles. It doesn't matter,
Yeah,
but
yeah, you can eat ramen noodles, but when you at that time when you have a wife and you have 2 kids, um, to bring a mother, mother's typically nurturing, right? And so
mhm,
at that point, to tell a mother that, hey, I have no idea what this is going to lead us to, but I need you to trust me and understand that I'm still going to be able to provide for you and our 2 young children. Um, that's I can't even tell you what that feels like coming from a woman's perspective, but for her to be on board with that and to have enough trust in me to know that, based off my work ethic, and stuff like that, that I'm gonna be able to make it happen. I
mhm.
think that in itself has just grown our marriage because now when I say something, it holds a little bit more weight. You know, if we're looking to do something, she's very analytical. She's very structured. Everything, she got me putting stuff in calendars now. So that's just she plans
Yeah,
everything. And
she's
so when you're
tightening the
asking,
bolts a little bit.
yeah, so when you're asking a planner to pretty much jump into a sea and we don't know where the hell we're going,
Yeah.
it's hard for them. And so just being able to have that trust in me and everything, I think that just ultimately meant a lot to me. But at the same time, it really drove me because, you never want to just,
Well,
not upset someone, but
disappoint.
you never want to disappoint someone. And I think that's typically where I thrive the most is when I have a fear of failure.
Oh, amen. You ever want to see me go after something? Yeah, make me afraid of something or failure. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that
Sometimes I spend money just so I have, when I feel like I'm kind of lagging a little bit, I'm like, I'll go do something stupid just so I got to make up for
light
it.
that fire, right?
Yeah, I like that fire.
There you go. Well, Michael, I always have fun talking to you. Favorite person in Fresno. Any closing thoughts for the audience you have for anybody?
Man, I think in a year of just uncertainty, I think the biggest thing is just bet on yourself. If you have something that you've always looked to do or something you've always wanted to do, I think now more than ever is an opportunity for you to at least entertain it. Because as you can see, I mean, everyone has a job until you
Yeah,
don't,
until you don't.
and so
Yeah.
I think understanding that everyone must have something that they can always depend on or lean on, because 9 to 5 isn't always going to be that, and understand that they're they're um they're not running their business based off of how you're going to be able to live your life.
Yeah.
No one's going to care more about you and your family than you are.
Yeah. If you didn't, I mean, let's just put a fine point on it. If you didn't have wholesaling, you and your family would be in a tough spot today.
For sure. And luckily we have a lot, we have a lot of support and stuff like that, but
Mm,
never do you want to ever depend on other people to take care of you and, your
yeah,
family.
of
I
course.
always say if you're grown and you're adult enough to have children and they get married and stuff like that, that's your responsibility and nobody else's.
Yeah, I didn't mean no disrespect by it. It's just that
No, I know.
if you were going to be a substitute teacher in an environment where there's no substitute teaching, that does not sound like a joyful time.
100% is not.
Yeah. All right, Michael. Well, you have a great day. Go out and close something, huh?
I appreciate that. I will.
There you go.